Hey there, Fox 35 Storm Team Meteorologist Noah Bergen here, tracking the tropics for you, but not in the Atlantic, in the East Pacific, where we find another remarkably intense storm for how early in the year we are. Think of this like last year's Beryl. Remember, Beryl went through the Caribbean as a Category 5, the most intense hurricane that early in the year. Very similar how the oceans are just incredibly warm to support this, how early in the year. This is Erick. Remember, the East Pacific has a different naming list than the Atlantic. So here we are as of late Wednesday evening, 110 mile an hour, northwest at 9, that's the movement. Pressure about 967 millibars. Remember, lower pressure, higher wind speed, more intense storm. And it's remarkable how fast today this thing underwent an eye wall replacement cycle. You can see how the eye is crystal clear now, but look earlier on the satellite loop, this kind of muddled and it went through some wobbles and then it cleared on out very quickly. Remember, the infrared satellite shows you the temperature of the cloud top. So the taller the clouds, the colder they get in the atmosphere, and that's when they get these darker colors from black to white and then pink. You can kind of see a little wobble there it did, and then how clear the eye is. I'll let this loop one more time. You see there, right, it went north and then northwest, at least what it perceives from the satellite, little wobble there. It's really crazy to see how this is still maintaining its intensity. As you see, the outer bands already starting to influence with land. You don't normally see a hurricane this intense this early in the year here, A, and B. This will be one of the more intense ones to actually hit this part of Mexico in any month on record. So here's the visible satellite as the sun is setting. Just remarkable imagery tonight. This is probably going to make a run at Category 4 status. Here's the three-dimensionally enhanced satellite, and you can notice all of the tall cloud tops, especially on the eastern side of the eye wall, but the whole canopy, we call it the cloud canopy around the eye, all sides completely intact, and there's no signs of any dry air. You have to go all the way out to maybe here to see a little bit of dry air coming in, but this is well outside of the eye wall, which is very well defined. And you can see, especially on this northeastern side of the eye and the northeast side of the hurricane, really intense convection and thunderstorms flaring up here. We'll see if those wrap around the center late Wednesday night. But this will be forecast to be a historic storm. There's never been a major hurricane Cat 3 plus hit Mexico during the month of June. That's never happened before. There's only ever been 3 Cat 2s to hit Mexico, make landfall in the month of June. So this will be the 4th Cat 2 or stronger. And again, there's never been a Cat 3 to hit in the month of June. So this is going to be a historic one for them. Strengthening further, Hurricane Center has it as a Cat 3. It's possible it reaches Category 4 status briefly, and then going inland late Thursday into Friday and weakening. But this will be a devastating flood for many of these areas. Here's our Fox model doing a great job, as it normally does, depicting how hurricanes play out. You can see the eye. This is in Eastern Daylight Time, this time stamp. So for if you're watching in Mountain Central Time or Pacific Time anywhere else in the country or somewhere else, this is the Eastern time here. So midday Thursday, the eye comes in, and you can see the hurricane stays intact actually quite a while, and then it falls apart and just becomes a huge flood event going up through central Mexico. Unfortunately, this will be a devastating flood for many. You can see even far from the center up towards Veracruz, outside of the mountainous areas here, 25 inches of rain. I mean, 2 feet of rain is a huge deal. And right where the eye comes in on the east side, you see 15, 14, 14, 13, 16 inches of rain. So a lot of areas, 15 to 25 inches of rain appear likely. For perspective, the average E-named storm in the East Pacific occurs July 23rd. So we're over a month ahead of schedule for this to occur in the East Pacific. Now, if you're wondering, does this say anything about the Atlantic? Not really. They're independent ocean basins. Some of the same ingredients that drive both are related, meaning, let me say that a better way. El Nino and La Nina impact both basins. But there's things that, more smaller scale things that they impacted by individually. So we can't, my point is, we can't say the Pacific is so busy, oh, the Atlantic should be, what's going on. They're different entities, and you really can't draw a connection like that between them. But meanwhile, the Atlantic, thankfully for now, is crickets with nothing expected. In the Atlantic, the storms are generally a little bit later occurring than in the East Pacific. The average A-named storm is June 20th. The B-named storm July 17th. The C-named storm in the Atlantic, generally, this is the average occurrence each year all time, about August 3rd. And the E-named storm, August 22nd in the Atlantic Basin. A couple of reasons why it's been quiet. A, it's early. I don't want to make too much of a stink of that point. Yes, it's quiet in June, but it's supposed to be quiet in June. This will be the first June since 2019 where we don't have, if the forecast is correct, a named storm in the Atlantic Basin. So let me repeat that. First June since 2019, we don't have a named storm. So we just have this recency bias where we expect a lot of storms in June because we've had several years where it's been way above average. This is more of what's normal. It'll be kind of quiet. Now, if we go much past June 20th without a named storm, then, the further we get, it'll get a little bit more uncommon. But things are quiet. This right here is the ITCZ. This is the tropical convergence zone coming off of Africa. By August, it'll be up here. It's still too far south to generate tropical activity in the deep tropics. But anything close to home in the Caribbean or the Bahamas, there's just no sign of anything right now. It's a very interesting look this year to the SST map, the surface temperature anomaly map for the Atlantic, Caribbean, and Gulf. A lot of conflicting ingredients. On one hand, the Gulf is extremely warm compared to average. On the other hand, the deep tropics, there's a lot of different ways some meteorologists refer to it. The deep tropics, the main development region, that's out here. That's cooler than average and a lot cooler than last year. A lot cooler. See all this blue out here. Meanwhile, you get up further in higher latitudes, and this water is extremely warm. And you go over here towards Europe, and the water is extremely warm. Now, there's a lot of conflicting research and opinions in the meteorological community, because on one hand, there's some research that suggests really warm water up way over here can lead to a busier season and can also in part lead to more storms going right close to the southeast U.S. as opposed to recurving out to sea. On the other hand, such a cool water anomaly in the deep tropics over here could lead to less favorable environments for those tropical waves that come off in July, August, September. Another point is that the water close to the southeast in the Gulf is really favorable, so that if something formed close to home, it could rapidly intensify before hitting Florida, the Gulf Coast, or the southeast. So in one way, very positive influence for an active year right now here, kind of a negative influence over here, kind of a positive influence here, and this is something else out over here. It's a lot more nitty gritty. This is kind of a negative out over here. So you've kind of got two positives and two negatives factoring, and which two outweigh the other once we get to August and September, October this year. It's disputed. I mean, there's some people that say it still is going to be an active year, not as busy as last year. Some thought that it might be really quiet this year, below average. We're just going to have to wait and see. But my opinion is, off the research I've done, is that it'll be a year to watch close to home for development right close to land and rapidly intensifying stuff because of how warm the water is close to home, not things that are tracking for long distances towards us. And also, we're in ENSO neutral this year. That means that we're not in El Nino, we're not in La Nina. Generally, those years have more storms that hit Florida in the southeast than other types of years. You see the water anomalies now are several degrees warmer than average in the Caribbean. So we'll keep an eye on things for you, but obviously right now, clearly the concern is none in the Atlantic, and we'll hope it stays that way for a while to come. So that's the tropical update tonight. Thanks for watching us on YouTube on our Fox local platform. We'll see you on Fox 35 with more.